The first project of James Gunn's DCU, Creature Commandos, drops in just a few weeks. So I thought now would be the perfect time to rank my excitement for all the upcoming DCU projects already announced. This list is based purely off my personal preference, so let me know what your ranking is down below. Also, if you enjoy this video, don't forget to leave a like, it helps out so much. Coming in at number 15 is The Authority. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm genuinely excited for every single project on this list, but The Authority is the one that I'm the least familiar with. I haven't read any of the comics, I haven't read any of the books, and that's why it landed in last place for me. From what I've heard, though, sounds like it's going to be good. It's going to have a gritty, sort of like dark tone, an intense vibe to it, almost like The Boys, but, set in the DC universe. And it's also rumored to be rated R, which does make me very curious as to see how far they're willing to go with it within a superhero genre. Because, that's something we don't usually see in superhero movies, especially with Marvel. So that shift of more rated R movies looks like it's going to be taking place primarily in DC and maybe a little bit of Marvel in the future. We'll have to see. One thing that could also change my opinion is the connection that I might have to Superman, because a member of the Authority known as the Engineer will be in that movie. If it's nothing more than a cameo, then my excitement levels will stay the same, but what if that connection turns out to be more significant? Boost my excitement for the project. But for now, since I don't know much about the characters or their story, it's going to stay at the bottom of my list. Next up at number 14, we have Paradise Lost. Now, this one has such an interesting premise. It's basically described by James Gunn as a Game of Thrones style series set on Themyscira, the island of the Amazons. And honestly, I love Game of Thrones. It's one of my all-time favorite shows. So the idea of a political drama with that same kind of vibe, the same kind of action sets, it just instantly grabs my attention. But here's where things get tricky. The show is set before the birth of Wonder Woman, which means Diana won't be involved, at least to everybody's knowledge so far. And to me, Themyscira without Wonder Woman feels a little incomplete. It makes me wonder if the series can, still capture the magic of what we love about the Amazons without having the main Amazon herself. Another concern I have is that we haven't heard any official announcement about a Wonder Woman movie in the new DCU. Is she even going to be a part of this first chapter? If she left out, it's definitely going to raise a few questions about how they plan to handle her character in the long run. Another thought I have is, who will the villain be of this show? Will it be something like the government, comes across Themyscira and it's going to be some political warness going on? Or will it be another god like Hades? But the thing is, it can't be Hades because I feel like Hades is a particular villain meant for Wonder Woman herself. I just have a lot of questions. But for now, without much to go on, Paradise Lost is going to sit at my number 14. Moving on to number 13, we have the Waller TV show. Now, this one, it's honestly a bit of a wild card for me. It feels like such a 50-50 situation, whether it could either be amazing or just okay. Amanda Waller is such a fascinating character to me, and Viola Davis is an incredible actress who's, absolutely nailed the role so far. But despite her great performances, I feel like past DC projects haven't fully tapped into her potential as a character. The show does have a lot of opportunity to shine, though. Since it's part of the new DCU, there's a good chance we'll see crossovers with characters from Peacemaker, the Suicide Squad, and even Creature Commandos. That possibility and, a bunch of different characters coming in and creating more of a story grounded within the DCU itself, more connected, unlike some recent Marvel things, it definitely boosts my excitement a bit. But, as of now, I'm cautiously optimistic. Coming in at number 12 is the Sergeant Rock movie. One of the most interesting and unexpected announcements from the new DCU slate so far. Honestly, my first reaction to this is, why is it happening? Like, if you're familiar with Sergeant Rock, he's not a typical superhero. He doesn't have any powers, and he's just a he's basically just a regular soldier from World War II. You know, that's it. He's essentially a grounded human character in a world of gods and superheroes. Now, I'll be honest, this movie and the Waller TV show are super close for me in terms of excitement. They're pretty interchangeable depending on my mood, but I gave the edge to Sergeant Rock for one reason: the potential of an epic cinematic war movie set in the DCU. If done right, this project could really stand out compared to anything we've ever seen before, and it could even be one of the best superhero projects of all time. The gritty, raw atmosphere of a wartime setting combined with possibilities of a superhero universe could honestly be a game changer. It's something we haven't really seen before in the superhero genre. I mean, I guess Captain America the First Avenger could be an example of that, but it really didn't have that really rated R vibe to it. And that idea has me really curious about what James Gunn and his team can deliver. Another thing that's raised my interest is the rumor that Daniel Craig is being eyed to play Sergeant Rock. If that turns out to be true, it's going to be a huge bonus for me because, Daniel Craig, otherwise known as James Bond, is a great actor, and seeing him take on a character like this could add some serious star power to the movie. And yeah, makes me think that they're going all in on making this movie something special. But as intriguing as all that sounds, I still have some hesitation because, as I just said, Sergeant Rock isn't your typical hero. He isn't a household name, and the concept itself doesn't scream, must watch right away. That being said, if there's one thing James Gunn has proven time and time again, it's that he can take lesser known characters and turn them into something truly captivating. You've seen it with Suicide Squad, you've seen it with Guardians of the Galaxy, you've seen it everywhere, even with Peacemaker. So while this isn't at the top of my list, I'm definitely willing to give it a chance. For now though, Sergeant Rock stays at number 12 on my ranking. Yeah, and we'll see if any more details about the movie come out soon. Coming in at number 11 is the Creature Commandos show. Now, I already know that this is probably one of the most surprising picks on my list compared to how other people would rank it. And when this project was first announced, I had it sitting down way down at the bottom of my list, like everybody else. But that was when I wasn't really sure what to expect from a show like this. At first glance, it just seemed a little too much like a copy and paste of Suicide Squad, but just with monsters. But as time's gone on, my excitement for this project has grown quite a bit, and that's largely thanks to the trailers and rumors that have been going around. What really grabbed my attention, though, is the main villain of the show being Cersei. If you know anything about Cersei, she is one of Wonder Woman's most iconic and powerful villains, and including her in this show could, make it tied to a larger DCU storyline and make it feel more meaningful and part of a bigger picture. She could even connect to Paradise Lost. But that's not all. The trailer gave us a lot to be excited about too. For one, we saw Clayface, who's going to be played by Alan Tudyk, and Alan Tudyk will also be playing a member of the Creature Commandos known as Dr. Phosphorus. If you know anything about Alan Tudyk himself, he's an incredibly talented and has this amazing ability to, bring humor and heart to his roles, and yeah, that's just a huge bonus. Clayface, directly to Brave and the Bold. Come on, who doesn't want to see that? But on top of that, there's a rumor floating around about a possible Batman silhouette appearing in the show. If true, that could hint at even bigger crossovers. With the Creature Commandos, they could maybe tie up Brave and the Bold, anything like that. And it just adds more and more to my excitement for the show overall. Now, about the trailer itself, I have to say, I found it hilarious. The humor really clicked with me. It's perfect because it's matched with this bizarre tone of a monster-only Suicide Squad show, but it made it even better when you can see how gory the show actually is. Because I'm a big fan of, darker, more intense animated shows like Invincible, and the fact that this one seems to have a similar vibe to Invincible it's a huge plus. You know, the combination of humor, gore, and that bold animation style, it feels like it's gonna make for a really fun and unique experience. Another thing I love about the Creature Commandos is its potential for crossovers. Out of all the shows announced for the DCU so far, I feel like this one has the most opportunities to bring in characters from all over the universe. You know, we have Amanda Waller, who can bring in characters from Peacemaker, Suicide Squad, and other, villains per se, a part of those Suicide Squad teams. But then you also have Cersei, which connects to Paradise Lost, Clayface to Brave and the Bold, and yeah, everything like that. So yeah, while this project might have started at the bottom of my list, it's climbed all the way up to number 11 because of everything we've seen and heard so far. And the same could happen for each project already mentioned as well. I'm really excited to see what Creature Commandos has to offer coming out December 5th, and can't wait to dive into the first project of the DCU. Coming in at number 10 is Peacemaker Season 2. Now, up until a couple of days ago, we were all under the impression that Peacemaker Season 1 wasn't canon. But now James Gunn says it is canon.
The truth is, almost all of Peacemaker is canon, with the exception of Justice League.
Which, makes me think a little bit more about when it comes to the show, like how James Gunn is just changing things, but that's another video for another time. If the first season hadn't been canon, however, I feel like a lot of people would be disconnected by the time the second season comes around, because of all the character development and all the different things that happened in season 1 that wouldn't have been true in season 2. But I think it's a good thing that it is canon, because, builds off of it. I also know that James Gunn is writing Peacemaker Season 2. It makes me feel better about the show. As well as the fact that Rick Flag Sr. will probably make an appearance due to Peacemaker killing his son in the Suicide Squad, which I believe is also canon, which is a massive plus, and it also makes Rick Flag Sr. the most diverse character. He'll be in Creature Commandos, he will be in Superman, and he'll probably be in Peacemaker Season 2 as well, making strides all around the universe. We also know that a mysterious character will be making an appearance from this image, and it's expected to be Apache Chief. I don't know much about the character, I don't know what his role could be, but looks exciting, so who knows what could happen. Overall, I love Peacemaker Season 1, I love John Cena as the lead role, I love Vigilante, and I see a lot of opportunities in terms of how this show will go. So, for number 9, I have the Dynamic Duo movie. Now, to start off, I'm not 100% sure on whether or not this movie will be included in the main DCU timeline, or if it's just an Elseworlds project like the Matt Reeves verse, but I'm assuming it'll be included in the DCU. If it's not, it's still on this ranking. This movie is going to follow the two main Robins, in my opinion, being Dick Grayson's Nightwing and Jason Todd's Red Hood. It was also announced that this will be an animated project scheduled for a release around the year 2027 to 2028. Which, I mean, it's a long wait, but it's fine. I'm cool. Along with that, the synopsis of the movie goes like this. They're orphaned thieves, best friends who share dreams of a better life, but their friendship will be tested by competing visions of a future out of which will come a new dynamic duo. So, in this movie, it's seen that there will be a major change in the origins of these two characters, with them growing up together and both falling under Batman's wing around the same time, I'm assuming, until there's an eventual shift in their dynamic, the way they view things. Yeah, we'll have Red Hood, looking one way toward a situation where wanting to be more violent, and then Dick Grayson trying to be like Batman, just like he always is. We also know that it'll likely be a story about them growing up together, sort of like a brother storyline, and then, like I just said, having different views on things, and then growing apart more and more. And to be honest, it kind of reminds me of a sort of story between Optimus Prime and Megatron, kind of like in Transformers 1, where they grew up together, didn't really grow up together, but you know what I mean, if you saw the movie, and then they eventually had different views on how to deal with the situation, and led to their downfall, becoming enemies. And it makes me excited for what's to come. We will also be seeing Batman in this movie, I'm assuming, which is also a plus. So, I'm optimistic for what's to come, which is why it's in my number 9 slot. Coming in at my number 8 on the list, I have the Bane and Deathstroke movie. Now, for this one, we don't really have much details as of right now, so I can't go off much, but, the concept alone of a Bane and Deathstroke movie does sound pretty interesting to me. We do know that the writer of Captain America Brave New World will be writing the project, which, if Captain America Brave New World is good, will be a plus. But it is another DC villains project, which, besides from the Penguin, don't typically do well as a standalone movie. Another possibility is this movie having more Bat Family members, which is a big plus for me, because it'll excel my excitement for the movie and we'll get to see more of the Bat Family, which is always a plus. And there have been some rumors about this movie, some going around about being a Secret Six movie, but for me, all I know about this team is, that they're a group of 6 that do contract kills. Other than that, I'm kind of in the dark for that one. I'm hoping for another chance at Joe Manganiello playing as Deathstroke, because we saw him once in the 2017 Justice League in the post-credit scene for the League of Doom, and I feel like he can pull off the role really well, because I see a lot of potential in that casting. But nevertheless, this idea does sound very interesting to me, and I'm excited to see what comes. So for number 7 on my list, I have the brand new announced Clayface movie that's reportedly in development over at DC. Now, this one and the Deathstroke Bane movie are pretty interchangeable for me, but I feel like a standalone Clayface movie works better than a Batman villains team up. And just as I was filming this video, I had to add in this burning because the Clayface movie literally came up as soon as I was about to post it. So, we're adding this boy in. I have no idea what direction they could go with this, but I'm excited to see if the idea can be panned out effectively. We already know that as I've mentioned, that Clayface will be in Creature Commandos from the trailer, so after we see him in that, maybe it might affect my ranking a little bit, see a little bit more about the character, why he's there, etc. Maybe Creature Commandos sets up for the Clayface movie. But until then, the Clayface movie will remain in my number 7 spot, with not much information to go on as of yet. Coming in at number 6 in my ranking is the Swamp Thing movie. Now, for me, I don't know much, if anything, about the actual Swamp Thing character. The only reason I really decided to put this movie so high up is because of everything I've heard from others about the character itself. Along with that, this is supposed to be a rated R horror DC movie. But of all the confirmed rated R projects announced, this one by far sounds the best, and that it could really fit the tone well. I'm picturing it to kind of be like Werewolf by Night with a Marvel zone where it has that horror vibe, but instead of it being in that one specific style, it'll just be a straight horror comic book rated R DC movie. The only gripe I have with this is, which can be said about many other movies, is I don't know where it could fit into the broader scope of the DC universe as a whole and its overarching story, but we'll have to wait and see for that. Coming in at my number 5 spot is the Booster Gold Show. Now, this one is very interesting to me because it seems like this show is kind of at the lower ends of other people's lists, but personally for me, I'm very excited for what's to come. We had rumors that Kumail Nanjiani would be cast as Booster Gold, but I believe that has since been debunked, so there really isn't much to go off in terms of casting wise. I would like to see Glenn Powell. There are probably other castings out there. Heard some rumors about Logan Paul. I don't know if they were rumors, but that's pretty much Booster Gold in real life, so not bad casting. Another thing that makes me very excited for the show is that in the comics, Blue Beetle and Booster Gold have a lot of connections, so there may be possibilities for Holo Marinuena to be in the show as Blue Beetle from the latest Blue Beetle movie, because I believe that's canon to the DCU, and he might even be getting his own show. I have to read a bit more up on that, but there also might be Ted Kord's Blue Beetle as well. I love Booster Gold as a character, and I was really surprised to see the show wasn't even announced, but I honestly could not be more excited for it. But for now, Booster Gold is going to be in my number 5 spot. Coming in at my number 4 is Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. For this one, I'm very excited to see what James Gunn is cooking up, because from what I've heard, the Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow book by Tom King has been nothing but greatness. I know there's a fair share of people that don't like Tom King, but I don't really have the stance on that as others do, because I haven't read much comics in general, so I'm coming from an outside perspective of, growing up with movies, so maybe once I read one of the books I'll have different views on him, but for now, all I've heard is good things from the run overall. I also love the way they describe the character of Supergirl, with her having grown up on a chunk of Krypton, while Clark grows up in Smallville with family. It kind of creates a great distinction between the two characters, with, Clark having not knowing who he is until he's older, and Kara being this rage-filled cannon that's just ready to go off. We also heard that Lobo will be in this movie, and for me in particular, Lobo has got to be one of my favorite characters of all of DC, which makes me really excited from what we can see from him. Maybe Jason Momoa will play him, maybe not. We'll have to see. I also love the casting of Millie Alcock as Supergirl. She did a great job in House of the Dragon, which is what I particularly know her from, and I think she could really pull off this role. We might even see her in Superman to set up the Supergirl movie as well, so it's safe to say I'm excited for this one. Coming in at my number 3 on my list is Brave and the Bold. Me being a big Batman fan growing up made it a given for this to be in my number 3 slot. Could even be in even higher, like it's kind of interchangeable with the Superman movie, but all we know about the movie so far is that it's gonna have Bruce Wayne meeting Damian Wayne for the first time as he becomes Robin. We also know that members of the Bat family will also be in this movie, so I'm hoping we could see perhaps the introduction of Nightwing, Red Robin, or Batgirl in this movie as well. It's also been stated that the DCU will lean more into a fantastical element of Batman, more so than the realistic Matt Reeves verse, which I could say is a big bonus for me. In past Batman movies, it really hasn't been much fantastical elements to his villains. With Bane, he was just a big guy in the Christopher Nolan films. Didn't really have that sustaining fantastical element to him. So yeah, leaning more into fantastical side is a huge plus for me. I do hope they don't have any Red Hood stuff in this movie, or basically anything Jason Todd related, maybe other than a name drop, because I'm really hoping for that live action treatment for Under the Red Hood, because I think it could be pulled off really well in James Gunn DCU. But we'll have to wait and see. And until then, Batman Brave and the Bold will be my number 3 slot. Coming in at my number 2 is the Superman movie. Everything we've heard about this movie so far has been nothing but great to me. First of all, I know everybody has been hating on the suit, but for me, I love the suit. It feels like it has more of that colory and, vibrant vibe to it, unlike the DCEU's kind of paleness. We've also seen a lot of set photos, and I think that the vibrant vibe and colors of Metropolis and the citizens and what they wear is on point as well. In terms of casting, I think everything so far is great choices. I love the casting of Superman, Lois, Jimmy, and even Lex, which didn't really seem like a great casting to me at first, but honestly has grown on me so much. We also know that Superman will be coming into a world full of superheroes already, as we've seen Hawkgirl, Guy Gardner's Green Lantern, Mr. Terrific, who all also look great so far. The only gripe I can come up with is some of the costumes of these characters, like with Guy Gardner's Green Lantern being in sort of that white and black instead of his normal green, but I think that will be a main point of the story for Superman, to kind of become a symbol for heroes not working for any government or agencies and standing on their own 2 feet, but that's just a prediction. We also know that a member of the Authority will be in the movie, and I believe her and Superman will have a fight, which means she may tie into more than we currently realize, because I believe we saw some of that from the set photos, but I'm not entirely sure. For the villain of the movie, I do believe that it is a clone of Superman, like rumors have been going around, and I don't really have a big enough opinion on that, so we'll just have to wait and see if it pans out or not. As long as it's not Doomsday and anything with the death of Superman, we're chilling for now. The trailer is also rumored to be out soon, which could easily affect my ranking of the movie, but for now, Superman is gonna be my number 2. My number 1, we all saw it coming, or maybe we didn't. It is the Lanterns TV show. This has got to be one of my most anticipated comic book projects of all time. I can confidently say that Green Lantern and, everything revolving around his character is some of my favorite, if not my favorite, things ever in fiction. It sucks how Hal Jordan's name is kind of dragged in the dirt due to the Ryan Reynolds movie, but I'm hoping they can kind of reframe the character in viewers' eyes to make them see him as the icon he is. Now that Kyle Chandler is playing Hal Jordan, and it'll be sort of this, legend Green Lantern to everybody throughout the Corps, and Jon Stewart will be his pupil. The series is described as a sort of Space Cops True Detective-like show about a mystery on Precinct Earth, and to be honest, that sounds nothing but short of amazing to me. I feel like Aaron Pierre will do a fantastic job as Jon Stewart, and feel like the show will have massive repercussions of what will happen throughout the wider story of the DCU. It's also public that there's been only a deal with Kyle Chandler in this show, which means no movie-related projects, which is a pretty clear sign that he will die by the end of it, which makes me sad because there's a lot of potential there, could be with the character of Hal Jordan, but hopefully Jon Stewart can fill that role enough for fans to stay, content with the DCU. Overall, the Lantern show is by far my most anticipated project announced from DC so far, and I wouldn't be surprised if we saw more projects revolving around this part of DC announced fairly soon, due to the potential of all the stories being told. So yeah, that's my ranking of every DCU project announced so far. You can let me know if you agree with my ranking or if you bash my rating down below. I don't really care, but whatever your opinion is your opinion, and everybody's has a right to their own opinion. This is my list, and if you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, because I might be posting more frequently. So, we'll see. With that, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.